Alright, we're back here in the Figure Kit Garage, fellow resin heads and kit builders, for this work in progress video of Deckard from Blade Runner, produced by Paul Gill over at Gillman Productions. We're going to call this series Building a Better Blade Runner, Episode 1. And we're going to start off on the broken building base. Use a lot of different techniques to bring this around. A lot of browns, grays, earth tones, things of that nature. I'm going to start it off with my little paint mixture here. This is pretty much equal parts ochre brown, black, and sky gray. It's basically a very dirty brownish gray tone. We're going to get this started. I'll lay this down as a base coat for the building and some of the surrounding dirt. Parts of the building that have crumbled. I've done a work in progress series since I believe it was Judge Dredd and Mean Machine. So I figured I was about due. Across the top. Just focusing on the chunks around the edges of the building. Broken off pieces. I don't like that color for the start. I don't want this whole entire base to be all grays. I do want to have some natural earth tones along with it. I like the color that that's turning out into. I can see a little bit of brown, very small hint of gray, but you're doing a lot of dry brushing to bring out the detail. A lot of enamels I'll be using from AK Interactive to help sell the wear and the age of the building. Alrighty. All right. Dump the rest of that out. Clean out the airbrush and get the wet palette ready for, get my airbrush ready for the next color. We're going to start laying down Vallejo Flat Earth, where I want all the dirt to be. And after that, we can start doing a lot of dry brushing, washes, enamels. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one. All right, now we're going to proceed with Vallejo Flat Earth around the bottom edges of the base. It's a good medium brown color. That's alright if some overspray gets into the gray, because I'll be blending those two together as much as possible anyway, so I'm not going to really fret about it a whole lot. We got a nice little contrast going. Off the tip of my airbrush real quick. Some of this I'll time lapse, but most of this I won't. Some of the primer gray is still showing through, but that's okay, as I'll go over this with a wash of Agrax Earthshade to darken it down. All right, that's a good beginning. Yeah, it looks a little bit off, but with all the techniques I plan on using, I'll blend that gray and that brown in really, really nice. And what I'm going to do now is flat seal it, let it dry. We'll come back and we will start dry brushing the gray. So stick around, we'll be right back. All right, we're back at it. Now that the flat coat is sealed, I like the way this is starting out. A good beginning. So now we're going to take the Citadel Dawnstone and this wonderful set of dry brushes I got off of Amazon, Army Painter Masterclass dry brush set. I cannot recommend these dry brushes highly enough. They're really, really good. Hold a good amount of paint. They're domed dry brushes and well worth the cost. Start off with the medium size one and a little bit of water to moisten the bristles up. May sound crazy, but the one thing I have learned is that dry brushing doesn't necessarily mean the brush bristles are dry. You want them a little bit moist just to be able to flow the paint really, really well. It'll take a little bit to build up the layers, but you don't want to just slop it on there and have streaks in your dry brushing. It does not look good. You can kind of see the Dawnstone starting to come through a little bit. I'm not really pushing down very hard. I'm just letting it glide over all the texture in this piece. Because there is a lot of texture on this building and the ruins around it. Starting to look a lot lighter. Dawnstone's a really nice color to build on. Say it's about a medium grayish tone. I'm going to finish the rest of this, but I'm going to speed it up, so just bear with me. Okay, now that we've got the Dawnstone dry brushed on and sealed, a nice transition from the dark brownish gray to Dawnstone. So I'm going to go in with this Archivex lettering gray, which is a slightly lighter shade. It does have a little bit of brown in it, which is okay. I'm not really worried about that. It'll give a nice color transition. And I'm not going to do any more to the top, since Deckard is going to sit on that directly. Pretty much all that's going to be covered up by him. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with lettering gray. Let me get some more of that off of there. Damn it. Does not want to come off the right way. There we go. It's much better. And it did smudge a little bit when it first started. Turning a little bit lighter, but it does have a hint of very light brown to it. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up and we'll get this color done. Flat coat has sealed all of that off. Liking the way it's looking now. I'm going to add a little bit of Agrax Earthshade to the building. Just to give it some discoloration in certain areas. With the look of a little bit of dust and dirt buildup. Just doing this sporadically. Or I'm liking the appearance that this is taking. Old, decayed, crumbled building. Didn't want it clean, didn't want it brand new looking. I wanted it old, weathered. Trash, for lack of a better word to say it. Keep that in camera. Let me turn this camera up a little bit. There we go. All right, let that dry on that part. Now I'm going to go over all the dirt with this Agrax shade. I'll darken that down rather nicely. If I have to go back over it again, so be it. Now it'll take a little bit to dry. That's all right. The effect will be worth it. Yeah, it's already darkened down on the front, so I think just one go over with this wash will be more than enough. Yeah, it looks really good. I'm liking the staining on the building. I'll have to sit for a few minutes before I do anything more to it. But I'll take care of some streaky spots that happened when I was dry brushing, like right up in there. Kind of blend those in. I'll do one more dry brush of gray, but that'll be very sparing. I like the color tone it's turning out with right now, so it looks really good. I'll go back in with some Nuln oil wash through my airbrush and hit all the shadows up in here and underneath all these little cutouts in the stonework. Get some down around the rubble area. Enhance the shadows a little bit, but all in all, this is turning out the way I was kind of hoping it would. So I'm liking it. I'm enjoying it. I hope you guys are too. Hope you're learning something. I'm not the best at this, but I love what I do. And, you know, if I can help you guys learn something by watching me, then so be it. So I'm going to let this dry off, seal it, and then we will come back and dry brush some flat earth and maybe a little bit of ochre brown in the dirt areas. And the ochre brown I'll use sparingly. I will not use that a lot. That'll be very few and far between. Yeah, that's turning out really good. All right, let that dry. We'll seal it off and we will come right. Okay, now we return to dry brushing once again. And this time I'm going to dry brush some flat earth very lightly. Let me try. Oh, keep using this one. Makeup brush does kind of the same job, but may take a little bit more effort than a straight dry brush does. Pull this back so I can see. Yeah, it's starting to have the effect I want. It's not going to be a big standout difference, but it'll push a lot of the wash back into a lot of the crevices in areas where I don't want it sitting on the surface. Flat earth is not a very light color, unless I was using with an extremely dark brown. It would be much, much lighter. And it'll also tone down some of the spots where the wash pooled up. All right. I'm going to take this ochre brown, which has a little bit more of a, say almost a light yellowish brown tone. I'm going to be very picky about where I put this. I want to get it all over it. And once it's flat sealed, it'll definitely stand out a little bit more than normal. Maybe a little bit difficult to see, but there are transitions in the color between the ochre brown and the flat earth. Dry brushing just takes time to build up the color. So if you have to go back over a certain area once, twice, maybe 3 times, it's no big deal, because eventually what you're trying to accomplish is making the surface detail stand out over everything else. is one of the main reasons why I used to dry brush side to side and up and down. And watching a video on YouTube by Artist Opus, I change how I dry brush now. That's why I'm dry brushing in counterclockwise circles, because it actually gives a softer and smoother transition of paint as opposed to basically flat boarding it, whatever you want to call it, and it helps build the color up on those areas even better because you're actually hitting all the edges that you may or may not be able to see. And it can be done with any brush. The dome dry brushes that I was using earlier, to makeup brushes, even the flat top dry brushes that I got from Garage Kit US Creative, or GK US Creative, excuse me. It can be used with any dry brush, and it works very well on any surface, including flat surfaces. And it helps you hit the detail that you may not be able to see. And detail that you may not have known was there to begin with. And just looking at that from above, I can see all the areas that I hit. I like the way that looks. So I'm going to call the mud or earth, whatever you want to, however you want to phrase it, I'm going to call that completed. We'll seal that off, and then we'll come back and start. Actually, we'll finish off the last round of dry brushing on the building with the lightest color of gray, and I think I'm going to use the Archive X Surface Gray to do that. And then we'll add some streaks, some streaking grime, excuse me, some shadows. I'll try and get this thing done in one shot. We'll be right back. All right, now that we've allowed that flat lacquer to dry, I'm going to gum in with some Archive X Dark Grime. Very more heavy brownish gray color, and just spot dry brush certain areas. Add a little bit of variation to it. It's not going to be just all shades of gray. I do have the brown wash that dried. So we'll come in with that. Thus far, I'm liking how this is turning out a whole lot. I don't want the base to outshine the figure, but I do want it to be its own separate entity, I guess you could call it. And we will dry brush a little bit more ochre brown on the dirt. Bring out some of that detail even more, get a good separation. So I think we'll go use this chisel angled makeup brush And we'll get started. You already see on that corner edge, it's already discolored it a little bit. Kind of goes nicely with the rest of the tone. Pull this back away from the light a little bit. Yeah, that's a nice variation on that color. This microphone picks up my stomach growling. I'm going to be very embarrassed. A nice large dinner that I had for this evening. My stomach ought to be plenty happy. I'm not pressing very hard to get this color to go down. As you can see, it definitely stands out from the rest of the gray. I'm going to switch over to this other. Trying to keep the camera from shaking, but I can't. Go back to this one and see how much better that'll work. Little by little, Now the discoloration where I do that Agrax Earthshade wash stands out even more. This dark grime over the top of it. But very light and very subtle. I actually like the way that works. You can see the discoloration differentiation in the gray and the dark grime. It does stand out quite a bit more. And I do like that a lot. I only have one more color. I'm going to dry brush on this, and it'll be Vallejo Sky Gray. And then I'll start using the AK Interactive Streaking Grime. And I'm going to go back in with the air, or actually before I do that, I'll go back in with the airbrush and the Nuln Oil Wash. And I'll airbrush in some heavy shadows. And I'm sure somebody out there will have a better way of painting this. But this is how I want to do it, and I'm hoping somebody out there will follow along and learn if they're a beginner. And maybe somebody that's been doing a while pick up on something that maybe they've never seen. Fingers crossed. Okay, that's enough of that. I'll go back in with ochre brown on the dirt. One quick pass all over. It's starting to smudge. Damn it. There we go. A lot better than it looked before when I did it the last time. So it's actually making it stand out a lot better. Oh, for once our streets here in San Bernardino are nice and quiet. I can't believe it. No helicopters, no police, no ambulances, no fire trucks. A perfectly quiet night for painting. Isn't that special? So, might be a little bit hard to see, but definitely nice two-tone variation in the dirt, or what I deem to have done as dirt. But I like the way that looks. So I will come back after sealing that off, and then we're going to start hitting this with very sparingly the sky gray, and that will pretty much wrap up the ruined building. I don't plan on using that a whole hell of a lot, maybe around certain edges, up in these areas, maybe up along this edge and the bottom edge, but that's pretty much going to be it. And I'll get my airbrush set off or set up after I get this flat sealed, and we'll be ready to go. So we will come back in just a few minutes. All right, we have returned, and now we're going to hit, as I said, very sparingly, Vallejo Sky Gray. It's about the lightest color I'm going to use on this. Actually, let me see. Yeah, I think I'll go just straight Sky Gray. My Archive X Surface Gray is a lot lighter than that, but I don't want to go too bright. And like I said, I'm going to use this extremely sparingly, in only certain spots. Try to get more off the brush. This is not going to stand out a whole heck of a lot. I did not plan on making the sign look like it was lit up. I'm going to make it look like it's old, defunct, and broken down. Instead of using red, I originally thought about using a bright red, but I think I'm going to use this color called Imperial Blue, the new Vallejo game color formula. See how well it works. All in all, I'm very happy with how this is turning out. So now I'm going to reseal this one more time, and when I do, I'll come back with... Actually, I should be able to go ahead and use this as is. I'm going to start using this streaking grime from AK Interactive. A good enamel wash that gives a hell of an effect of running dirt or grime down the side of this building. Should turn out really, really nice. Zoom back out a little bit. There we go. I'm going to follow the angle that the building is sitting at so it doesn't come straight down. It's going to come at a backwards angle a little bit. I'm going to do the same for just under the ledge here. Looks like a mess now, but as soon as I get the mineral spirits to thin that down, it'll actually look really, really good. The streaking effect will be very, very evident. Always make sure you clean your brushes out. Since this is an enamel, it will dry and kill your brush pretty much. It's drying quite nicely. I'm going to go ahead and start hitting some of these areas. I'm just using Winsor & Newton Artist White Spirits. It'll thin down that enamel really well. And I bought this brush a long time ago. Can't remember what exactly it's even used for, to be brutally honest. So figured I'd give this pup a try and see how well it works. Probably could have gone on a little bit lighter in certain areas. There we go. Yeah, I went a little bit too heavy in certain spots. That'll leave a really kind of deep, grimy effect. Yeah, I kind of like the discoloration that's causing. It's pretty cool. I can go with that. All in a regular textured or flat surface with very little to no texture, this effect is pretty cool. I think on this it had a different effect, and I'm kind of liking how it's turning out. try this brush, see how well we get that worked in. Yeah, I just did all that dry brushing with the dark grime, but this adds another layer to it. I like the way that looks. Just got to work with it, kind of fade it out and down. That's actually not bad. I kind of like that. Yeah, we'll go with that. I probably could have gone a little bit lighter on the application, but that's okay. The fact that it's fading it out and it looks really dirty underneath these edges and up in here. That's kind of a nice effect to it. Like old, dirty concrete has been sitting. Gathered grime and all other kinds of dirt deposits. That gives a really nice grimy effect. I like that a lot. Pardon me. That's a real nice look. Weathered, grimy, filthy. Yeah, there's layers of color underneath this grime. You can still kind of see through it a little bit. Yeah, I'm real happy with that. Probably do. Could probably do a little bit of a wash back up in here, like up in this area, and then dab it out of there. I like the discoloration on that. I really do. It has a greenish brown gray tone that with the other colors of gray that I put on, it dirties it up so much. But this being Los Angeles 2019, if I remember right, not all these buildings are gonna look pristine and neat and clean and purty. That looks really good. So we will go ahead and break that wash out one more time, or that streaking grime. Don't want to overdo it. Yeah, that'll be more than enough. Mineral spirits smell just as bad as regular Tester's paint thinner. So, bring that back in. Oops. Yeah, that's just about the right amount. Didn't want it too crazy looking, I guess the word is, I guess you would say. I really like the way that turned out. If I can refine that front just a little bit. One little area I missed. There we go. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. All the grunge and grime. All the weathering. Yeah, we covered a lot of it up with that streaking grime, but that's necessary evil if you want to make it look old, worn, weather beaten, and beat up. No matter how many layers of paint you put on top of it, you go right back over it with something else. All right, I'm going to seal this off, come back, and actually I am going to mask this whole thing off, bust out my airbrush, and then we're going to get this painted with the white gray, and then I'll brush paint the edges and the kanji and the sign with the imperial blue, and then we'll proceed to dirty that up and make it look completely wrecked, as if it doesn't already. But we're going to do it even more so. So we'll be... All right, we're back. We're going to get to airbrushing this white gray over the top. Oh, that could have been ugly. And if I have to do any brush painting afterwards just to get the edges a little bit cleaner, then so be it. Got it fairly well masked off all around the back side, along the sides and along the top, just to be on the safe side. So here we go. All right, now that that's taken care of, let's get this silly putty, and I use Glad Press and Seal to mask the rest of it off. See how well we did. I'm gonna have to do a little brush painting there, but no big deal. That definitely stands out. Came out nice and clean for the most part. Like the way it looks good. Instead of using white, which is way too stark, white gray is that nice perfect balance. And as beat up as this sign looks, I don't have to have it pretty for any reason. So now I'm going to do very minor touch-ups with the white gray and the brush, and then we'll get started on the imperial blue. All right, after laying down the Nuln oil, excuse me, through the airbrush, I'm very happy with the overall end result. Really, really nice. The white gray and the imperial blue, really, really nice blue color. I'm going to actually hate to have to dirty that up, but it's got to be done because this is not meant to be a sign that's going to be lit up. It's been wrecked, sitting in piles of dirt, soot, everything else. So it's going to be very filthy by the time I'm done. But I'm not going to drag this video out any longer. I'm going to do all the detail work on the sign off camera, and then when I come back, I'll show you the final end result, and we will call this base finished. So we will be back. Okay, we have returned for the last bit of this video. I did, as promised, finish the final details on the sign off camera, and I'll give a fairly quick explanation of what I did. After getting the white, gray, and the blue laid down, I went in with Vallejo metal color aluminum and kind of did some chipping around the edges along the top and side edges. It's kind of hard to see now. And then went in with flat earth and brown ochre from Vallejo and added some more dirt and wear and tear to it. And then the last bit was using this metal slag modeling pigment from MIG, excuse me, and proceeded to completely filthy up the sign itself. I wanted it to look like it had been sitting there for quite some time. In my mind, this sign is not meant to look brand new or even lit up in any way, shape, or form. I wanted it wrecked. I'm very happy with the end result. The pigment powder went on really nicely. And as well, after the sign, I went through and used the same pigment powder, and all along the edges where the brown and the gray meet, all around the base, I used that to kind of blur that line a little bit. And it added a third tone of that brown, much darker, but it blurred the line really nicely between the two colors. So all in all, the way this base turned out, I'm very happy with the end result. I love the weathering, the way it wound up drying. It looks really, really good. So that concludes this work in progress series, episode 1 of building a better Blade Runner, the base. Soon to come, episode 2, we start working on Deckard. And that's going to be a lengthy process, but it's going to be a lot of fun to paint him up. So for this episode, work in progress, building a better Blade Runner, number 1. This has been the Figure Kit Garage. Everybody stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep building kits.